busy schedule.
I wonder if I've got time to record that list about
transits. What's the moon doing?
Man, I gotta eat. That day around is
all day.
God,
I
it's
spent a week. Next week, last week.
where are you?
Just career
Grab
back.
my water.
Hi,
It's Matilda. It's so nice
Just
to hear
getting
your
your
voice. Always got to get that one in. Always
You always get it in, but your nails look divine, darling.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm very pleased with them. There's something very nice about having your nails done, isn't there? It just makes you feel put together.
Nice and fresh.
Even if you're having the worst troll-like day, which I've had this week. I haven't, got my makeup done or done my hair. I just haven't had the time, energy. I'm on hiatus. And somebody actually called me out on it the other day on a video.
They called you out on what?
Well, I get this comment, and I want to liken this to the fact that we should never comment on someone's appearance. Okay? Ever. I do appreciate that, oh my God, you look great. And 99.9% of people will tell me my eyes are great. Okay?
Right.
If they make a comment at all about my eyes, they will say, your eyes are beautiful. I had somebody, and it actually upset me yesterday, and I don't get upset very easily by these comments. Please, please, please go to the doctor and get your thyroid checked. Right? So my response was, oh, I've just got a fat neck. I'm 53. No, your face and your eyes are definite signs of Hashimoto's.
So they're telling you you look like Marty Feldman?
I don't know who that is. I've got to look that up.
Look at Marty Feldman.
Yes, I know,
Right.
I know who you mean. But how do you know I don't already have Hashimoto's disease?
Right.
Right? Because it's not something that I'd ever make public. And B,
Right.
I am very sensitive about my eyes because I was teased like hell about them growing up.
Yeah.
Because they are big, they are round.
Yeah.
I can range from looking like a goldfish to a frog. And my nickname growing up was Frogger, and my brothers still call me Frogger.
That's kind.
No, it's not. And Druggy. I got called Druggy.
Oh, that's special.
That's special because I was so skinny at school. So I was olive oil or Druggy because, tall, skinny, big feet, big eyes, and I am a bit precious about my eyes. I'm very, very sensitive about them. I've only got one that works.
I totally get that.
Yeah. And you get it. People take the mickey out of your glasses and they can be really offensive.
Oh, they'll also make fun of my dead eye because one of my eyes is 100% blind. And it's like, do you have nothing better to do with your life than make comments? Although I also get the doctors of TikTok going, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something wrong with that eye. No, really? No, I didn't notice.
The thousands
I'm just wearing
of doctor's
these thick
appointments.
Glasses.
Yeah.
The
thousands
since
of
I was a child.
Since we were a child. I've had three surgeries on my dead eye just to make it turn the way it should. And you can tell when I'm tired because it goes off wandering, looking at someone across the road, or drunk. Tired or drunk.
Same.
And I'm not overly sensitive normally. People can take the mickey out of my weight, my hair, anything else. But the drastic, you need to get your thyroid checked. Do you really think I got to the age of 53 without having my thyroid checked?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's more the imposing of diagnoses. So it's please don't.
And every child under 5, somebody will go into the comments and go, your child has got Asperger's. Your child is on the autistic spectrum. Let children be children.
Yeah. Kids are not supposed to be quiet in a corner.
No. Yeah. So,
it drives me nuts.
That did annoy me this week. And I felt really, because it was yesterday, and I was feeling really sensitive for some reason. And usually I just bite back and go, And And I just thought, no, I'm just going to block this human being.
Yeah. People wonder why they get blocked.
People wonder why they get blocked.
Depends on
Seriously.
our mood.
Yeah, absolutely. It does depend on our mood. And
Yeah.
if you want to come in being nasty, you will get blocked.
Yeah. Or even just invasive, because we are human beings and we have lives and we do these things as a public freaking service. Although I had a funny one. My cousin is on social media as well, and she has her own thing.
Oh, cool.
And she found me on TikTok. I didn't realize she was on TikTok. I know where she's at on Instagram, but I didn't realize she was on TikTok. And she found me. She was like, "Whoa, cuz, look at you," because she didn't know, you know. And we haven't. I mean, we text each other once in a while, right? Mm-hmm. And she had one of my clone accounts try to follow her, and she literally messaged them and went, "She's my cousin, MFer."
Yep. Yep.
But they got my daughter too.
Oh,
and she was like, "You are not my mom."
Yeah, I've had them go. My son hasn't mentioned it, but Naomi, my friend, Denny, has been, and Denny nearly fell.
Denny will eat him alive.
Denny will eat him alive.
No!
You do not want to cross Denny.
No.
And
I almost want to send the trolls to her. I'm like, go talk to Denny.
Absolutely. She would eat them alive. She does not take any prisoners.
No.
And she's just released an album, so I'm going to put a plug
I
in
was
for that.
listening to it. Big plug in for the, Tokyo Sessions?
The Tokyo Sessions by Denny Hines.
Yeah. Oh, gorgeous voice. Beautiful.
Friend
She
of
has
the show.
such a, yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Hallelujah is my favorite
stunning.
all-time song, and she did a really good version of that. But yeah, you do not want to cross Denny Hines, and she will come into our defense blindly and with blind rage. She will scare most people.
She will undo you.
She will undo you. But she got you following her, and she was so excited. Well, because we had.
But I am following her.
But she got a message offering her a reading.
Oh, no.
And she was that excited that she messaged me and she said, "Laurie's offered me a reading. I'm so excited." And I went, don't think so. Check the followers.
Yeah, no, never. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the mother of effort.
I do feel sorry for whoever that was.
Yeah. I have submitted. I'm going to get this on my link page before the end of the weekend. I have a Google form now that people, like a Google sheet, a spreadsheet where people can put in the information so I can submit it for takedowns.
Yes.
It takes a couple weeks, I heard, but I've already submitted 41.
Yep.
41 accounts, you know, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing. It's
there
so,
is
and
nothing.
I just reported one as pretending to be me, and they were like, "There's no violation." I'm like,
I get the same.
How is stealing my intellectual property, which it is, because you don't have to file a copyright notice in the United States. If you created it, if it's your likeness, you own it.
Yep. Well,
unless a professional photographer took the picture and you've, you know.
Yeah. I've gotten Mandy to do mine because I've been a bit flat out, and I think there was close to 40 on that list. Yeah. But I'm going to copy you and put the Google Docs form into Patreon so people can
and put it in your link tree too, because I didn't do that yet, and I've got so many people now asking, and I was like, ridiculous. Absolutely, I'll put it in, please.
And this is what happens with growth, because my following has gone up in the last 2 weeks and your following has gone up in the last 2 weeks. I'm at, like, I'll tell you something funny this morning. So I was sat having a coffee with my son. We went for a lovely walk around the lake and took buff and had coffee. Nice. Don't get to do that very often with him because he's always busy. And he was saying, "Oh, your following's gone up." And I said, I opened it up and I knew overnight I'd had, you get that 99 plus.
Right. I
knew I'd probably had close to 1,000 followers jump overnight. And I went, my following actually hasn't gone up. That's really strange. And I was about to send TikTok a really cross email because I'm like, people are not dropping off. There's no way that I'm going to lose 1,000 followers and gain less than that. So I just flicked in and out of the account and they all jumped into my following.
Oh, okay.
So
it just hadn't
remember
reconciled
that.
yet.
It just hadn't reconciled. And like 1.2 likes or something like that, 1.2 million likes. But we need to thank the wonderful Rod Smith historian.
That's right. Because thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
He did this video saying cool stuff about Matilda and me. And all of a sudden, we've just gone growing. I've made like 3 videos this week, and it's like,
yep, huge.
It just hasn't stopped growing.
But I'd like to put his link in our show notes.
Yes,
and
we'll put his TikTok link. Absolutely.
Because he did lose his account. So he had talked about us about a month ago. And we grew. And then he did it again on his new account. But he lost his account because some people that followed certain person.
The bot farm got him.
Yeah, the bot farm got him. So if we can help build, and he does really good content, really interesting. He is a teacher.
Yes. He's a historian.
He's a historian, and he's very informed on politics.
He is. Yeah. On United States politics especially.
Yes, United States politics.
And he's funny, and he made me sputter on my coffee earlier in the week.
Which one was that?
That was his stitch with J.D. Vance. And he said he would rather run to be Grand Wizard than ever.
Oh, my God. Yes.
And I had to explain to those listeners who are not in America, the Grand Wizard is the head of the KKK. And Rod is a black man. And so I was having my morning coffee, kind of wondering, oh, he stitched J.D. Vance, what he's going to say. And when he said I would rather run, I choked. And I had to send him a little note saying you need to put a warning on your video.
Yes, please put a trigger warning on your content. He's very dry. He's my kind of funny because he's very dry.
He's hilarious. He's good.
I really like him, and it's really interesting to watch somebody. There's a lot of people that have come and found us that are first. It's their first introduction to astrology and mediumship. And can I just say that I am a medium? I am not an astrologer. Every time Laurie starts talking about stuff, I go, I love it when you talk dirty to me. She starts going on and on about this trine and the Mars, and you've got this in your sign. And I'm like, and I wish I could. I wish my brain could comprehend it and understand it, but I don't. And I'm honest about
but then I translate it. So I kind of have to talk through the astrology, and then I'm like, and this is what it means.
Yes, she does bring it down to toddler level for me specifically. But watching people that have found us for the first time and Rob's reaction to our work for the first time, it's just so amazing to watch. Because you're doing something right when somebody that has no interest in astrology or the metaphysical world shines a light on your work because they have found it interesting. So
and accurate.
That is accurate. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a real honor, I think, when somebody
it is that, and that they have open enough minds to go, wait a minute, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch for a while, and they study and like, whoa, it's nice to see that because this isn't something that people, when you're educated, when you're part of the status quo in some way, you tend to think of what we do as fringe, even though it has always been part of the actual status quo. Yeah. But having people have open minds to be like, wait a minute, what's going on with that? Yeah, that's nice.
I really like that. One thing I really dislike is when people will come onto my page and say something, and I did call someone up on it. Did you see my video?
She did, and it was great.
I get so frustrated. To be honest, we could have all predicted that. Really?
Oh, yeah. That was so freaking rude. And your comeback was chef's kiss.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I had just pulled up somewhere and opened my phone because I had 5 minutes before a meeting. And I went, I'm really cross with this. So I stuck my phone in front of me and recorded in the car. I had no makeup on. And that's when the girl comes back and says, I need my thyroid checked. I actually think that everyone should be skeptic. There are too many false, fake people out there, too many people with a little bit of knowledge and not enough training and not enough mentorship or development, especially when it comes to mediumship and psychic ability.
Oh, astrology too. There's
but
people have read maybe a blog post.
And they think that
and
they can
just
do it.
regurgitate shit.
But
there are people who just make it up.
Yeah, there's people that just make it up.
That's not even a thing. I'll be like, where the hell are they getting this from?
I know, but then you get these mediums or people that use the title medium that really irritates me.
Exactly.
And they've got a little bit of intuition. And then they're selling readings to people who have lost someone. And that is preying on the vulnerable. It really is preying on the vulnerable. And the fact that we both educate in a way that people understand. But skepticism is incredibly important.
Very important.
And you must have that with everyone, even us. That's why we prove every day, all day, what we are able to do. We're
skeptical of our own stuff.
I know. And I sometimes go, so I have a researcher in the US.
Yeah.
Mandy, and no, Mandy does not research anyone for my readings. She researches my predictions. So there is a spreadsheet that is running that has all my predictions on. Someone transcribes every live, every podcast, every post I make, and all of my Patreon stuff. And then Mandy gets this spreadsheet and she finds the predictions as they happen and provides the news articles for proof. And so she messaged me last night and said, this, and this has happened. And I'm like, has it? Did I say that? Did I say
right?
That? That's my skepticism because I can't remember. Once it leaves my mouth, I have no memory of it.
It's out of it. Yeah.
It's out of it. So God bless Mandy for doing that job. But that's my bit of skepticism. And sometimes I just go, oh, wow. I am good.
Right. Fig jam. Yeah, no. I'm often like, wow. I said that. I wrote that. Yeah. Sometimes I'm sad I wrote that.
Oh, I'm often sad I wrote that. I'm often sad
I called
when
that one.
Something happens. And I would love to say that a lot of the stuff that I have been given isn't going to happen, but it is it is always unfortunately part of the course. But my July August predictions and they came in bang 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 and there was 2 that didn't happen, but I know that they are happening in a different way, and that's not me trying to prove myself. That's Trump coming undone and no coming back. I think we can all agree that he is drowning.
Oh, he was losing his cookies. We're just so sensitized. And I kind of, I talked about that in my magazine. I'm trying to remember, but I was like, look, we're so used to things being like a Saturday Night Live skit or an article out of The Onion. Yeah. Which I don't know if you know what The Onion is, but it's
9.
The Onion is a periodical that has been around. I believe it's out of Harvard. That is a parody, and you would get a man bites dog type funny stories.
Okay.
Once the orange one became actually during the Bush, George W.'s administration, it got harder and harder to tell what was a parody and what was like just a real news story.
Yeah.
And I know George W. looks eloquent now, but back then he did not, because he'd said things like, I'm the commander guy, and he'd be like, I'm the decider, and back then we'd be like, oh, why would a president say that? Now we're like, oh, look at that. He could say something in a sentence. But so I feel bad for the staff of the Onion, because I'm like, are they almost like down to one person? Because
Probably.
real news is weirder. So we've gotten so sensitized to the egregious or the absurd that people putting maxi pads on their ears wasn't weird enough for people, or him blathering on incoherently.
And that's, he was slowly being undone during those months. And I think the other one was the financial aid. Everyone, and this is one thing that really annoyed me, is everyone wanted it to be about them. They wanted to benefit from the financial aid. And if it didn't affect them, then it didn't happen.
Right.
But there was a financial aid package released. It was Kamala's plan for her election, the first home buyers.
Right, so it was in the news. Yeah,
it was in the news. So just because it doesn't affect you personally doesn't mean to say it's not a prediction. And there are other countries than the USA. Did you know that?
No, we're the only one. I've been told that.
Countries.
I've been told that we're the only one. Everything else is just our minions. That's sarcasm.
Yes, sarcasm.
Yeah, there are. You're talking to the person who says the transits are global. And then people are like, what about my country? I'm like, it's global.
Global.
Which, I have a bone to pick with you Aussies.
Okay, what did we do now?
Whenever I have a prediction for Australia, they're like, oh, finally. And I'm like,
did you not see
the transit? I did for you, and I get it too. And I'm like, you know what? There's good astrologers in Australia. Go find them.
Yeah.
You want stuff specifically about your politics? Go support an Australian astrologer.
Handheld. They
want me to spoon feed the Marmite. Well,
the Vegemite.
Oh yeah, Vegemite. Sorry,
Did
I live anywhere, not Australia. No, oh please don't.
Okay. I sent you.
I've had it.
Okay. I love
the Tim Tams. I've devoured the Tim Tams. It was a stressful week.
I'm glad they helped. But yeah, I had somebody on one of my posts say, what about Australia and the economic? I don't get a lot of economic news. Can we just clear that up, that I am a medium and Spirit doesn't have a particular interest in things that are mundane, like economics. If I get it, I will give it to you. What about Australia? And the people going, I'm really struggling financially at the moment. It's not my responsibility.
No.
And the other, and then someone backed him up saying, I feel like we're always overlooked. There is plenty.
That was a small violin to the listener.
Yeah, that was a small violin. She wasn't actually holding.
I wasn't holding a knife and trying to murder somebody yet.
Or a mouse around her head. Swinging a mouse around her head. I'm not sure what it sounded like, to be honest. But yeah, everything is in, I do cover Australia. I cover it in my Patreon. I cover it on my podcast. I cover it on predictions. And
my favorite one for Australia was where I called some flooding and people said, oh no, it doesn't flood that time of year. And I'm like, dudes, I'm just saying what I'm seeing in the charts. I don't know anything about your weather patterns other than we have our seasons upside down from each other.
I get that a lot, though. I get that an awful lot. When I called the flooding in New York last year, and I said it's going to be up to the, in the underground system, and people are going to be wading through water, I got, no, that never happens in New York. You're talking out your ass. If we made predictions that weren't out of the ordinary, then we wouldn't be fucking predicting, would we?
Right? Then you wouldn't go, whoa, look at them. They're right.
Yeah. But you called it, you had a conversation with me last weekend and you sent me a message and saying, be careful, your weather's going to hit hard in the next 3 hours. So I texted my family and told them, you know, if your cars are under trees, you know, one of them didn't move their car and had a smashed windscreen.
Oh, no. They need to listen.
Yeah, they don't listen. It's my ex-husband. He's never listened. But because he picked me up from somewhere. He's got a Jag. He's got like a brand new Jag. Picked me up from somewhere. And I'm in the car and I've gone, what's that? And from right at the bottom upwards, there is a crack. And I said, I think you got hit by a tree. It's obviously come off. Something's come off.
Right, a branch swung
But I am not joking. Within hours, the wind picked up. It woke me up in the night. We had people without power, people without Wi-Fi.
It was a big windstorm.
It was a big windstorm.
Well, I checked the astrology because I knew it was supposed to be. I saw wind in the chart, basically. And then I knew you were out. And I saw some video on TikTok. And I was like, oh, isn't that around like the same state Matilda lives in? And I know your states are huge, but I was still like, I'm going to go check the astrology. And I knew you were out. And that's why I was like, are you still out? You need to be home by this time. You have this much time before it gets really bad.
Yep. Yeah.
This is what happens when you're friends with an astrologer, people.
Yeah. And but the thing is, my son was coming over to help me with something as well. And he phoned me and said, I can't come over. I'm helping someone with a fence that had blown down. I'll be over in an hour. And I said, nope, just go home.
Yeah.
Do not be driving in that weather. But yeah.
And see, some people would say, oh, you're so negative when we make these. It wasn't negative to tell my friend to stay safe.
It's positive.
Imagine what would have happened if you didn't know and your son came over and there's stuff blowing in the wind. So, no. I stand on it. Forewarned is forearmed.
I absolutely appreciate it. And I've given you warnings before.
Yes, you have, ma'am. I listen, too.
Sometimes.
No, most of the time. I ordered the sticky notes.
You ordered the sticky notes? Yay!
I did. They'll be here.
I've never heard someone so excited when
I love sticky notes.
She was talking about sticky notes and saying, I'm using these to do my time and blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah. Because you haven't got your whiteboard with you. And you were going to try and find a whiteboard. And I said, yeah, but have you seen the sticky note whiteboards? You were on Amazon quicker than you can. Like, she's on Amazon while she's on the phone to me going, what? I didn't know those existed.
I didn't. You know, so that was a new to me thing, and I got many kinds.
Well,
my room will be plastered where I can see, because the reason why I do a whiteboard and not a calendar is the universe is a joker. I'm a highly visual person who can't see, and a calendar is too small. So I make big notes.
No, and I can't say I blame you. And I just, I use sticky notes and put them in rows of days and things that I need to do.
That too. Yeah.
But I'm going away next week.
That is really good. I'm off readings. Whoa. I think. Am I off readings next week? No, I think we're alternating again.
Right.
So you're off next week. I'm off the week after from readings.
I'm still off the week after as well. I don't know at the moment. I do have to bring some stuff back into September, which I wasn't planning on doing. But I am going to Melbourne. I'm going to be down there for 4 days. And I'm going to be I'm writing some courses. I'm creating. Good. Sometimes I have to leave where I am in order to actually achieve things. Because this place is like Clapham Junction. They just turn up.
I completely understand. I've had a bit of that myself, although child number 1 is off to parts unknown tomorrow. So
good.
Well, we know, but
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So then I'll, not that they're overly disruptive, but when we have good time together, I like to have that time.
Yes,
if that makes sense. So
absolutely.
But I will be back to my creating machine because I've got a lot of stuff to do.
I'm looking forward to it, actually. Last year, I found that taking myself off for a couple of days here and there, whether it's 2 or 3 days, just to regroup. Sometimes it's even just doing the life paperwork that we don't get a chance to do, because the last thing I want to do after I've worked is go into my office.
Absolutely.
So
there's a lot of stuff that falls by the wayside with busy reading schedules because we're tired.
So to take myself off into a luxury hotel for 3 or 4 days to enjoy myself, wind down, order room service, and work like a Trojan, and catch up with a couple of friends that I've got in Melbourne as well, is really nice for me. And I did it a couple of times last year. It's the first time I did it. And it made a difference because I actually switched off.
Nice. Because you have to. Because being at home, you don't, though. You're going to go to the computer. You're going to go to the phone. You're going to go to the printer. You're going to just... I know I do. And you actually gave me an idea. There is a place about an hour and a half away that is like truly one of my favorite places in the world.
Oh, yes. The springs.
It's got hot springs. And I could take a couple of days there.
Yeah, I just think it's rejuvenating. I can't go on a long holiday because I can't travel very well at the moment. But I can go a couple of hours away, enjoy myself, enjoy the benefits of a luxury hotel, and, wind down and relax, and then come home and be refreshed.
Yeah. And then you're more able to get back at it anyway.
Oh, 100%.
And why else do we work so hard?
Exactly. And we
like,
do. We work very hard. And it's not, we do both work very hard. There's a lot of people out there that work very hard. And unfortunately, they don't get the benefits that we sometimes do. But we were in that position 10, 20, 30 years ago where...
I was in that position 8 years ago.
Yeah, where we just literally worked to survive.
I've been there. But I also worked really hard to learn the business end of the buggy whip with this too.
Absolutely.
I'm not fond of the struggle bus, so I learned a lot. And I lived on very little. I have a client that I was reading for who I just adore, and they own you would think they're wealthy because they own a very sizable, very interesting business. And they're just out of having to eat ramen.
Wow.
Because I don't think people, of course they have a lot of overhead. It's a very sizable project that has a lot of nuts and bolts. And I was like proud of them because
that's
they
amazing.
made a lot of sacrifice. Yeah. I don't think people realize like not everybody's a billionaire that starts stuff. And
no, we all start
grit
from
and determination. Yeah. I'm on hour 13. So,
and
it's all right. I'll sleep.
You will sleep well tonight.
I have to get up in the morning. So, but speaking of predictions, one of my favorite ones is just coming true.
Ooh.
When Kamala is elected, I'm just going to stand by that. I see it as a slam dunk, pretty much. Yeah, when she's elected. But her proposal for small businesses. Now, I've been trying to get people ready, actually, for 20-some years, believe it or not, in a variety of ways, for the next 20 years ahead from now, okay? Because more and more people will need to start small businesses.
Everyone should have a side hustle.
Yeah, if not a side hustle, starting a service business or something that is self-sustaining. But because the corporate structures are going to start unraveling, because you can only hold record profits when people can't buy food for so long. You're going to implode. It makes no economic sense. And so, because if you have to have money from people buying your stuff, if they can't buy your stuff, then you don't have money. So I've been trying to teach people how to be self-reliant, interdependent, And what did she propose? She proposed a small business tax credit and increasing it from $5,000 to $50,000 for new startup businesses. Yeah.
Amazing.
Small businesses. Yeah. And I've been saying more and more people are going to start businesses. Well, there you go.
Absolutely. Really start
I was very excited
researching
about
now.
that prediction.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't have all the time in the world.
No.
To, if you're
It could
working
be
a
hard.
9 to 5 and you've got kids and all of those things.
Yep. Been there, done that.
There is a way to pull resources. There is a way to grow things. We are in an age where the opportunities are bigger than they've ever been, with the internet, with the
technology,
with the need of people to shop more remotely. There are many things that that there are opportunities for. Think outside the box.
Yep. It can be the most unlikely thing. I used to think, and where I lived, I couldn't really be out as an astrologer because it was very rural and very conservative. And we're going way back now, okay? So I kept it on the QT, and I was referral only anyway because my early career, I was just like, no, you're going to have to know the secret not to find me because, oh my God, the weirdos. Back when you had to meet in a public place, back in the old days. And I'd be like, oh God, I'm going to be murdered. But anyway, I had to be quiet about what I did. And so instead, I went and I got credentialed as a business coach, right?
Right.
Because I had to learn on my own and bootstrap it. And then anybody who was open to it, I added the astrology in. I just didn't lead with that. But I thought people would respect that more. I was wrong.
Right.
You could have tickled me with a feather when it was astrology I could lead with openly and people would take me seriously. Times have changed.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, times have definitely changed. And we have got a lot more kudos than we had those years ago.
Even 5 years ago. Really.
100%. Because people are looking for the help that they haven't gotten in the mainstream and the guidance, and they're starting to trust a lot more. And I think that's
again,
great.
that's why we do, and that's why we do predictions, because it shows evidence.
It shows evidence. But can I just say that neither of us would be here if we didn't follow our own guidance and trust our own guidance. And that is the key, because our guidance has got us to where 100%. We are. And that isn't just by doing the work that we do. We have a business, and we have to be able to run those businesses in a way that helps us and helps other people.
Right.
But we
and you know how
here.
they have this like meme you see sometimes on like Facebook or Instagram, and it shows like what you think the route to success is, and then what it actually is, and it's like there's a straight line and then a messy line. Yeah. But when I look back, because I did follow my guidance, even though it felt messy, looking in hindsight, it is a freaking straight line.
Yeah.
It really is. It didn't feel like it at the time because there was a lot of learning to do.
Well, there's a lot of learning, and we both have business degrees. Do you have a business degree?
No, I do not have a business degree. My degree is as basically we're both analytical, but mine was international relations and then cultural anthropology. Right. And you were behavioral economics, which I think is great.
No, well,
it's so nicely paired.
It's so nicely paired. My undergrad degree is business, and it was
Taurus.
European business, of course, because then I left Europe.
Right.
Because it was just opening up. So European business was my undergrad degree. Then I studied economics as my master's, and then I went on and did my doctorate in behavioral economics because I love behavioral economics. And then I ran my own research company, which was based around behavioral economics.
So I love that. And see, I I did not ever want to own a business. Ever.
Wow. Okay.
I did not. I didn't even see being an astrologer as being a business. I took an energy exchange, which is you pay me for a reading, but it's an energy exchange.
Yep.
I
Okay.
didn't see it as a business because, like most people, especially in America, we think of if I have a business, I'm selling a product.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And not seeing yourself as the product. Now, this is moons ago. And then in 2005, the economy was super, super wonky. Now, even though I didn't have a business degree, I did help my children's father graduate with an international business degree because he was dyslexic. And so I read his books to him and helped him. I never wrote his papers. He had to write them himself, but I would help him.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm well educated on the subject, which made me go, I don't want to do that. I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. I just want to do analysis. I just want to be in my head. I don't want to do all that. But the economy wasn't great. In my second marriage, my husband was a government employee. At the top of the salary, he was capped. There was no other promotions to go unless he literally changed exactly what he was doing. And we weren't seeing any raises. We were on a fixed income. And I had been spinning yarn on a spinning wheel, and I had a lot of it. And I thought, well, we need extra money. There's no cutting our budget. There's nothing to cut. So I started selling the hand spun yarn because, again, a business is product. And it did really well. And all of a sudden I got propelled into this whole other world and met a lot of great metaphysicians who I'm still in contact with because, funny enough, people who like to spin yarn are into other weird shit.
Okay.
But that's how I learned everything the hard way. So I was already interested in computers. So why not build a website? I'd built them for fun. I'll build a business one. I made 69 cents off a keychain because I had a funny name and people liked it. Okay. And that was the first sale I made on that website. But my PayPal button was working because that's the days you had to code it in.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
I've never danced so hard over 69 cents in my life. It wasn't the money. It was the button working, you know? And so learning all of that. And it was just time and again and I built a lot of online communities that were really successful, but I wasn't great at monetizing because, like many people in spiritual communities, which I had been in all of my adult life, I felt bad for charging. Well, don't do that. Don't feel bad.
I'm the economist. I never feel bad.
You never. You're also a Taurus. Oddly enough, I never felt bad for charging for astrology. But I did for my other service-based work. Astrology, I worked really hard to know. It was like going to college. You know, I could, charge for that. But the service-based work, the energetical work, the community work, I felt weird about. Like, why? First of all, there was a lot of healing involved. There was like, you want personal growth, run a business.
Yeah. No, I get that. I started my business, I think it was 2005, 2006, just as the economy is dipping. I have two children, one of them with sort of special needs, not significant special needs, but he had, he has a condition where I would be at the children's hospital a lot. I had a husband who traveled consistently, so for me to take a job in my field was just going to be so difficult. And I saw an ad for a company that recruited people for paid market research. And I sent off the application and I got the job and I was, recruiting. I didn't have internet at the time. I didn't have a computer at the time. We got internet installed, which was dial-up, and I bought an old computer off a friend of mine for $100. So I went around dropping leaflets for people to register with me. My first month, I made $100. I was so excited. I
Right?
then grew that and grew that and grew that. And when we moved to country Victoria, I bought a website for people to register. That made my life easier because I could search for certain people.
Oh, yeah.
There are certain criteria. And then I went, I can do this myself. Why am I going through a third party?
Right.
And they're paying me $20 a person and the client is paying $100 a person. Why am I doing that? So I started sending out, like, I'm good at marketing. If nothing else, I am fucking amazing at marketing.
Right. Same.
I had these because people aren't allowed to do research. There's a rule. They've got to have not done market research for 6 months. So you've got to have fresh people all the time. You've got to continually grow it. I had these giant oversized postcards made with a baby's face on saying, you want fresh people, I've got fresh people. And I sent those out to every research company and marketing company and PR company in Victoria. And my first month, I made 10 grand.
Oh, wow.
I went from earning about $500 or $600 and I earned 10 grand in my first month. And I went, I can do this.
Right. And it's when you turn that corner, you know, as you build your confidence and you prove the model to yourself, that it's less scary and you're like, oh, okay. And then I blew up my life in 2017. Technically, I started blowing it up in 2016, but it was hard to rip the Band-Aid off. So speaking of listening to guidance, like I was listening to guidance, but I was like, are you serious?
Sometimes we don't listen.
No, I was like, are you kidding? This is scary. So I actually closed down a business that was doing well, but I was too stressed. Major changes.
No, that's why I sold my business. I sold my business 2012. I sold my business because I was too stressed. There was just too much going on.
And that's when I kicked. We have just such weird parallels because 2012 was when I kicked it into gear on the consulting side of business and teaching, because I realized what I was really good at. And that's important for you to know. If you don't know what you're really good at, it's kind of hard. And we take it for granted.
No, we do. We take it for granted. And I needed to build up my confidence as a medium and continue that mentorship and that growth. I was reading. I have been professionally reading for 20 years, but I needed to build up that confidence. And I just made a TikTok on this. Being in the wrong place has got to make you so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That change is more comfortable. I can't remember the exact words of it.
But
around that, it's like it's got to be more painful to stay where you are than it has to be to make the change. And if you're not ready, you're not ready.
Exactly. And there can be lots of reasons for it, lots of dynamics. But when the leap happened, I literally I cleared the slate. Now, I don't recommend that to everybody at all because there was like zero coming in. And but I knew there would be. I wasn't worried about it. Everybody else that knew me thought it was crazy, but I was like, no, I'll be all right. And and then I spent a year just recalibrating, and then I took a job. I hadn't had a job in the corporate world in 20 years. I had left the corporate world in the 90s, actually. And it was like my little girl dream job. So it was kind of fun. Yeah.
No, those jobs come in.
Yeah. And it was perfect timing because the lockdown happened. And what would have happened had I been doing my consulting business?
It just
would have dried up completely.
Yeah.
And so I had exactly and I worked for a laptop division of a major computer company. Wow. So I couldn't have been in a better position, right? And then I was used to working remotely because I hadn't worked in an office in decades. I'd literally done everything remotely. So anyway, it was the perfect timing. And then I just and I'd had so many referrals in 2019. I knew astrology was on the way. I listened to the guidance.
Yeah.
But I started the business while I was working from home. And it was no more secure working for a company than it was running my own business at all. So I was like, wow, yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah, look, I've taken various jobs. I've worked in government just before COVID. I took a job within the Victorian government. It was a bit busier than I had planned. But I do miss sometimes working with other people or having somewhere to go or dress up or whatever. But then it's fleeting. That is fleeting. But
I enjoyed the water cooler gossip.
Yeah, the water cooler gossip is always fun. But the moral of this story is that listen to your guidance about starting a business, getting that extra income coming in. There are so many opportunities for side hustles. Now is the time to make that jump because there are so many changes, 25, 26, 27. Amongst the corporate world is going to change drastically. Yep.
That's what most of my readings have been about lately. Mm-hmm. Helping people get clear about where they're going. Yeah,
I've had a fair few of those. Although I've forgotten most of my readings because I'm in. Do you ever remember to promise to email somebody something and then forget?
Who are you talking to?
Myself. Oh yeah, no, yeah, okay. I just forget.
Do I even look at my email?
Unfortunately, I do. I woke up this morning and I had 6 emails from people emailing me. I've seen your TikTok and I want guidance on XYZ. I've seen your email, your TikTok. Can you do da-da-da-da? I've seen your email. I just want you to do that. Just like, and I just delete now because, book a fucking reading.
Do not email us asking for free readings. It's not going to happen.
No.
We don't have time or the energy.
And we don't get the energy to give you decent guidance through email, or I certainly don't anyway. And I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. I just think it's rude. It is incredibly rude.
You don't write to a doctor going, "Hey, I have a hangnail."
Yeah. I just find it. Yeah, I just find it really, really rude. And you've had a difficult week this week with, I know you've experienced the loss of your mentor and you're now the grown up.
I am. I've toyed with how to describe him. I sometimes call him a mentor. He's more of a guide. He's the last of my teachers, my guides, my mentors that I worked closely with. And he passed and I'm top of the totem pole now.
You are.
It feels weird.
It would feel very, very weird.
I'm the old chick who knows shit. Yeah. Well, he was a brilliant healer, and there's always this thing when a healer dies, people are like, oh, well, not quite a healer. Oh, they wanted him on hospice over a year ago. And he said, F that. And he gave himself another good year. And given what was wrong with him, that was extraordinary. He was very gifted. He had work to do. He was a man of service. I did not always see eye to eye. He was often hard on me. I understand why. When you are in those types of very close mentoring relationships, it can be very, very intense. It's not all fluffy, but it's a lot more like Harry Potter than people would think. And he was kind of my cross. On the nice side, he was like Hagrid. And in the learning side, he was like Snape, which, think about it, Snape was an exceptional teacher.
He was an exceptional teacher. I liked Snape.
But he was also an asshole.
He was an asshole, but I had a crush on Snape from the first Harry Potter.
Yeah, well, Alan Rickman was always divine. Yeah. But even in the book, though, I was like, those are my best teachers are like that. The ones who are like, oh, that's okay, sweetie. It's usually not great.
You don't learn anything. Nobody learns anything. Have you noticed? Anyone that's had a reading with me knows that I will deliver the hard information
Absolutely.
with
Same.
a velvet glove. And I've done it to you.
Yep. I do it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
If it's not a good idea, I will tell people. But I will say the one thing I learned a couple of things from Thomas that were invaluable. And the first thing I learned was to detach from other people's pain.
Yep.
And not try to take it away or transmute it or make it better, because we were doing a very intense healing technique, and I was he also threw me into the deep end without explaining what I was going to do also. So just saying. So I didn't even know what the rules of this game were. So I had a strong resonance with the person in something rather traumatic. And I was trying to take their pain literally, because I could, and transmute. And he yelled at me. He was very dramatic. He was a very dramatic man. And, this is like back in 1999. We all evolved over time. But he yelled at me like, "How dare you steal her pain? That is for her to experience." And I was like, I just was trying to help. And I learned that is not helpful. And sometimes it's very selfish, because he goes, "That was about you. That had nothing to do with her. You didn't want to feel your own pain." And that stung, and it was harsh, and it was hard, and it was true. Because when I could sit down and be honest with myself, he was right. I was trying not to feel my own pain. We try to avoid that. Yeah. And then the second thing I learned was true compassion. Because as much as he could be a boof, boof, boof guy, Mr. Machismo, when someone was truly struggling and suffering, he could sit as a witness to their experience and be fully present, but not in it with them respectfully. Yeah. And he did it for me, and I was able to do it for him, as, because again, 20 some years, and that is a skill.
That is absolutely a skill, and one that I do try really hard with, because
it's hard.
If we take on other people's pain, I have cried in probably 2 readings in 20 years. And I know that I'm a hard bitch.
No,
but I
you have a
don't
good filter.
I have a good filter, and I don't help anybody by engulfing myself in someone else's pain. And it's not about me.
No. It's about them.
Yeah. People have to be allowed to feel, and the more you avoid your pain, the more it will come back and bite you on the ass further down the track.
Every time. Yeah.
So how amazing to have such a wonderful mentor like that, to be able to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guide you.
And it was, and piss me off at all the right
times.
And piss
you off. But they're not, people aren't good mentors unless they piss you off.
Right. Well, and be human, because he didn't pretend not to be. And so, even though he was a very, very, very gifted healer, and I mean very gifted, I broke my pinky. This was also back in 1999, because my son's giant head, he fell asleep on the bus, and I was taking the stroller, my 5-year-old and my almost 3-year-old, and he had a big head, and I hit there's a bar on the bus, and my hand was the buffer between my son's head and the bar.
Ooh, actually.
And I felt my pinky crack, and it was purple and the size of a small plum by the time I got to where we were meeting up with the group that Thomas and his wife Gabrielle ran. And Thomas took a look at it, because somebody said, "Go have Thomas look." Thomas literally waved his hand, and it was fixed. And I was like, okay, I want to know about that. And what he knew how to do was molecularly work with things. So again, he stayed alive a lot longer than he should have, because it's harder to do on yourself than it is others.
Absolutely.
Just like any kind of work.
It's to do. And it's not an area that I've ever worked in or chosen to work in. I choose to work in And I know a lot of people say that, you know, you need to be a healer and you need to study that. I'm sorry, I'm just getting around, you know, I'm working on my mediumship and my psychic ability. I will leave the healing to the Lauries and the other people that choose.
I learned all of that young when I had abilities. And I thought that was my path as a young person, like as in 29, 30, you know, till I was about 35. And then it dawned on me that wasn't my path. Isn't necessarily for being a physical healer, although if I had to and people needed it, I would employ that ability. It was for me. Not this lifetime, the emotional, organizing people to have sustaining life, helping people come home to themselves. That's this lifetime.
That's my journey this lifetime. I don't want to get involved with taking other people's pain, physical pain.
Well, and in healing, you don't have to. Like even though I had that ability, I didn't need to use it, so I never do it.
No. And it's not something that I have ever wanted to study, look at, learn about. I would rather help someone heal their own soul and build their own soul journey. And that's just my priority. I've got enough physical pain of my own. Thank you very much, Miss Laurie.
Right, exactly.
I'm better over it.
Right. Well, again, it's all... I learned a lot of things, and if you want to be a good astrologer, you have to know a lot about a lot of things. And so a lot of the metaphysics and a lot of the theosophy I learned from him, and he got me into the right materials. And that he was a very learned man. Man, he knew a lot. But yeah, so it was weird. It's always weird when people pass. I've had a rare death that I mourn traditionally. If that makes sense. It
makes perfect sense to me, knowing what I know, teaching what I teach, bringing that connection from the afterlife to those that have lost their loved ones. I don't feel the pain of loss like many other people do. And because I know that they are A, around us, and B, we will be reunited. And there are certain things that I do grieve. If somebody takes their own life that's close to me, that's
a hard one.
That's a hard one. That's something that I do struggle with. Actually, not even close to me, anybody that takes their own life affects me greatly. But I don't grieve the way that most people grieve.
Yeah, I don't either. But you have the 8th house, well, the 12th house. I'm trying to think. In your natal chart, you have a 12th house moon that deals with the unseen. And in your relocated chart, you have an 8th house moon. So those are the matters, the unseen, the unknowable, which we consider death. The veil, beyond the veil. I know. I don't feel like there is a veil, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I get asked, is the veil thinner on Halloween? Well, no. It's thin.
Maybe it depends on the person's physical makeup. I don't know. Maybe
no, it's not.
Maybe,
I don't believe it is. For me,
I don't
the
think
veil
so
is thin.
either. But...
You've just got to be connected to it, and everyone has that ability to be connected. They choose not to be. That's my answer.
Or don't realize they can, or the programming gets in the way.
Yeah. No, I know. I make things too black and white sometimes in the way that I see things, and I am incredibly black and white about it. I'm sure there's some tism in me.
Gee, that might be why we're friends.
The tism is strong.
The tism is strong in most. Go ahead.
I said it to my son the other day. He's sharing a house. You know, him and his girlfriend are sharing with another couple, and they all came over one day, and they were just saying, "Oh, I think the autism is strong." And I said, "Yeah, the tism is strong in your house," and they all just burst out laughing. because they're all getting used to each other's ways and
their quirks.
And I'm sure this is why I can't live with anyone again. And I went out for coffee with my son this morning, and we went to a coffee shop that's on a lake, and they were doing work there, building work, and the noise was the drilling, was my head in. And Charlie went, "Where do you fucking think I get this from?" The tism. So
right.
Yeah.
That's kind of been a lot of my family's reaction. They're like, yeah. But I think most metaphysicians, when I look at all of the teachers I've had, all of the guides, all of the mentors,
I thought
to do what we do is seriously do.
I thought I was more ADD, but I think
it's a mix.
I think it's definitely a mix. And even my ex-husband laughed when I said, somebody said I was a bit autistic, and he goes, "You think?" And he knows me better than anyone
right.
in this world. And I am, like, I don't like the noise. I get really aggravated by external noise. I'm very texture sensitive. I will not buy man-made textures or, those synthetic textures. I remember as a child having to sleep on nylon sheets and not being able to sleep because...
Oh, yeah, no. I had to take my necklace off last night. I realized that's what was interrupting my sleep was the necklace I was wearing, and I hadn't taken it off because it's hard for me to undo the clasp. And in the middle of the night, I was like, this is why I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
3 days later.
Certain food textures. I don't eat meat. I don't like the texture of it. So, yes, I'm sure there's a bit of autism there. But saying that, I have never not been able to be social. I just don't want to be social.
Well, what they've found with people socialized as women and girls is we have been forced to socially mask. We don't get allowed to not be social as young people. And so there's different presenting symptoms. And when I started that, and my joke years ago was, I'm an introvert and you're damn lucky my mom made me have social skills. Yeah. Because I was a very serious child. I was a very factual child. I got in trouble for spitting facts. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, me too.
Oh
my
man.
God. The amount of tidings I got for speaking my truth or expressing myself when it was probably not appropriate or being my father came home from my first parent-teacher conference in high school and said, "Your teacher says you're a loner, are you?" I just don't like people. I'm happy in my own company. And
it's
girls my age annoyed me.
Yeah, I was the same. I had two close friends. Well, one close friend and her friend that I tolerated. But in second grade, we had a substitute teacher because our regular teacher got pregnant on us, and she shall never be forgiven. But anyway, because the substitute teacher was not bright. And there was a little boy who would get in trouble because he was very emotional and he would have outbursts because he was frustrated. I could see that, right? And he couldn't understand this homework, this little worksheet we got. And I remember this so clearly. And I had finished mine, lickety-split, like while the teacher was talking, because her explanation of the work was like reading the instructions, which at 7, I was like, really? You're just going to read the instructions for us? That's all you're going to do? That's teaching? I was grading her performance. And so when she sat down, her head was down, I went over to the little boy and I quietly whispered, because I was already done with my work. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I don't understand." And I said, okay. And I explained it. I was like, "This is what you do." I didn't cheat for him. I just explained it. Next thing I know, tall lady, I'm looking up. what do you think you're doing? I'm like, I'm explaining it to him. He didn't understand. Well, I'm the teacher. I said, well, if you were good at it, I wouldn't have to. And I wasn't being snarky. It was just literal, very autistic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you were good at it, I wouldn't have to. There was no tone. I wasn't being snarky. Oh my God. I got sent to the principal's office. They asked me why I was there. And I was like, look, this is what happened. I don't know what the problem is because this is what, yeah. So they call my mom. Luckily, my mom was on my side. She was like, why did my daughter have to explain an assignment to another child?
Yeah. I get it.
So,
I totally get it. And I had the misfortune of going to 6 or 7 schools.
Oh, God.
And it was a lot more damaging than you would think because school after school after school, trying to fit in with bitchy little girls who have already got their cliques. It was harder for me than it was for my siblings. I've got brothers. And I think I was the age where I went to the most schools. So they were a lot younger. My 2 younger brothers, I had the fortune of going to the same high school and only 2 primary schools, whereas I had moved quite consistently. My older brother had gone to the same high school all the way through. Oh, wow. And so it was very, very difficult for me. And I don't think, because I was a smartass, and my father used to say I was born an adult because I was like you. You know,
we have so many parallels.
We have so many parallels. And I was the problem because I was a smartass, but I didn't mean to be a smartass. I just understood people a lot more. I understood other people, didn't understand myself, but I understood other people really well. Yeah, so I found that school hopping incredibly difficult.
Yeah, we moved to take care of my grandma and grandpa, and I had to change schools when I was 10.
Yeah.
And tricky. I had not had to make friends since I was 3 years old because my friends had all gone to the same preschool all the way up until that point.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. It was hard. And I didn't like a lot of them, a lot of people. And it was a hard time. And then my friend Chrissy and I, we're still friends. We text each other like twice a year. We've been friends since we were 12. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
But,
But I found, like, when I started, I've always found it very difficult because I've always been known as a nickname. And all through my life, I've been known as a nickname. And when you get older, you realize that that's not your real name. And I hate when people use my real name, because I don't, if I go to the doctor, the dentist, the bank, whatever, they're going to use my real name. Well, if
my name was Balula, I'd hate it too.
Yeah, exactly. No, so we're not, but when, I tried, when I started my first day of school, my biggest memory was being told to write my name. Oh. And I wrote my name. That's not your name.
Right.
And they were insistent that I write my name.
No. Oh, wow.
So, yes, it was very confusing for me, incredibly confusing. So if your children have a nickname and then you send them to school and expect them to use their real name, it is incredibly confusing.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I would imagine.
Just saying. But that's about it for this week, is it?
It is. I know. We've got events coming up.
Yes, we do. We've got events coming up. I need to check my phone, obviously. I have the 29th of September. I am hosting a large mediumship event where there is an opportunity for a reading. You get to watch me work. I talk about the afterlife, talk about spirituality. You can ask some questions. That is on the 29th of September. What have you got coming on?
I am doing a webinar where it's kind of, think of it like a seminar, a 2-hour seminar on September 21st on how to use your astrology to thrive without having to be an astrologer.
That's really cool.
Yeah, giving some prescriptive stuff and getting people ready, because we're going to do a 6-week coaching program starting in October.
Amazing.
So,
very cool.
Mm-hmm. I want to serve more people. I know it's great to have those one-on-one meetings, but not everybody's going to be able to get into those. Not everybody can afford those. So I've been trying to think of ways, because like for mediumship, you can do demonstrations, but like for astrology, it's not the same, you know. And I was like, how do I do those groups, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought this will work.
Yeah. And I've got a course that's being released for January, which is empowerment. And that's part of the other teaching that I have, how to empower yourself, build your resilience, build your self-confidence, build your self-concept. That's going to be a 6-week course, and that will be released sometime, probably in October now. I have to cancel all my, well, I'm not cancelling them. I have to bring my readings from November into October and the rest of September. My month off has been cut short. So it is what it is. But, you know, I'm going to take 5-6 weeks off recovery time. I'm having a surgery that has been sort of in the wind, shall we say. And we,
by the way, I got an idea for your content during that time. I figured out something.
Cool bananas. But
I'll
we
tell you
have
after
a
we're done
joint
recording.
event that we're about to push as well. It's not an event. We're not selling it. It's for our Patreon members.
Yeah. End of year.
End of year.
We're going to do a 2025. Yeah.
And I am doing my 2025. You have your 2025 overview. I'm doing a 2025 overview. And we're going to do a very, thank you for our Patreon members, and host a 2025 overview.
So my 2025 Redux, because I did it in June. We do the follow-up in November. You're doing yours in December.
I currently have it booked on the 1st of December.
You might be up for that at that point. We'll find out.
I think I'll be up for it. As long as it's only a couple of hours, I should be up for it. Look, I can always put the screen over my head. I'll be fine. I'll be out of rehab by then. That sounds terrible.
Right.
Rehab.
Right.
Rehabilitation as in let's learn to walk again.
Yeah, that kind.
And we had decided to do it on about the 15th, I think, but we'll get all those details out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, when we get closer to, but we're going to do a thank you to our patrons. It's a joint live, and we'll be talking about 2025 and how you can navigate it.
And how you can navigate it. It won't necessarily be around the predictions, because we're going to do those separately.
Yeah, but we have our own, and we have to do those on our own. We'll do like quarterly stuff next year. We've been trying to figure out how to do it.
We don't have a lot of time, but we're going to make time.
No. Well, I don't know about you. I'm reorganizing my schedule though. Like that, I've taken off a lot of time at the end of this year to try to figure out next year.
That's why I've got September. I had planned September to be my surgery month, and that all went to shit in a handbasket, didn't it? And so that's why I'm going away. That's why I'm doing all the work that I'm doing now to pre-plan, book in, get stuff ready and out there during September. And then I will work right through. So I'll be back at work full time second week of December.
Yeah.
Ish. And be working. Whereas usually I would take December and January off.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't happening this year.
You probably want to not do it full speed. But
no,
I'll look at your astrology.
The surgeon basically said, not going back to work full time. Do it,
But we'll figure out some other stuff for you. Yeah. We'll figure out some stuff.
Yay.
That's what friends are for.
That's what friends are for. Can we put that song just in here, please?
I would love to. I love that song, but we don't have a license for it, so
we'll be in the same sort of trouble that Donald Trump is in with using all the songs that he uses without permission.
Yeah. So that's our don't do sign.
As always, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Check out the show notes for all of our information and go follow Rod Smith, the historian.
Thank you, Rod. We
Thank
love
you,
you.
Rod.
Yay.
But we have to get his followers up because he lost quite a big account.
He did. He lost a sizable account. So follow him. He's actually really funny and he's really smart. And it's not just because he promoted us. He's really an awesome dude.
He's
so
very
follow
jolly.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Bye.
We're out of here.